you guys, it's me, Dr. Torie. My book is officially out. And yes, it is time to talk about ACEs. You guys can find the books everywhere. However, I would encourage you guys to go to my website, Be VicTORIEus.com, and place your order today. Yes, it's time to talk about ACEs. Let's go, y'all.
Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to another episode of Be Victorious. Let me share something with you. There are people that have been there from the beginning of this journey with me. And this young lady has, when I tell you all the people that are in this study, she knows. She has been one of the favorite teachers, just like me. It's fun. You have to know the students, you have to know what they need. And I think that's the reason why she's always going to be a favorite. I think that's also the reason why she advocates for ACEs. When I tell you advocates for ACEs. Miss Richardson, where are you? Yeah. Yeah, I know who this is. They know though. You know what I mean? Like we talking about Be Victorious Foundation. We're talking about mentorship. We're talking about after school activity. We're talking about everything we have done to help students with adverse childhood experiences. It's my girl, Mrs. Richardson. Hey, Ashley.
Hey,
Welcome to Be Victorious Podcast.
I'm excited. I
We
was like,
went
I'm
from a
me.
classroom, a building together, and look at us now. How are you?
I'm good. A little tired. I'm a dean, so kids will be making me dean them. So,
Really? Tell us, give us an introduction of who you are.
um, I am a wife, a mother, a worshiper, and honestly, a school leader at heart. I think I've always been that, even in the classroom. I just needed to understand and really just gain the confidence and the capacity to know what it would be like to be a school leader. So that's really my passion, working with teachers, making that impact. It's larger. In the classroom, I had it, but I feel like I have a larger impact when I work with teachers who are now working with our babies. So
It's
yeah,
because you're
that's
a true leader. You're a true leader. I can see you as a dean, though,
yeah.
because you have that impact. And I think understanding ACEs is needed in your position right now.
Oh, yes.
So tell us first off, where did your information in regards to ACEs? When did it start? When did it begin? What made you use this in your position? Because I know you were using it in your position for sure.
Mhm. Yes. I would say as a teacher, it
Yes.
really, I don't know if you remember or recall when we had the professional development, regarding that,
I talk about it all the time.
and how it just, it was a light bulb for me. Like our kids have some trauma and we are getting upset because they don't have pencils in the classroom. We are getting upset because they might have said something like, called me stupid or said, shut up. Like they're going through some things at home that are really
Listen,
just, they're
and
carrying that.
it bothered me. Like such and such kicked me out of class because I don't have no pencil. I'm like, are you serious? Do you know her grandmother just passed away?
Thanks. So yeah, I saw that with the kids, but then when I became a school leader, I realized we have adults that are leading and feeding our children, and they have not healed from their ACE. So now they are looking for justice and with the consequences. And this happening now as the dean. Like, so I am a restorative dean and making sure that yes, I have a code of conduct, but the shoe has to fit. Just because out of school suspension is there doesn't mean I have to use it. And I have a restorative coach in the building. So we collaborate and I get the why is he still here? Because I have to make sure the shoe fits. Let's talk about it, and then I realized like, oh, you had a bully. Oh, you had some things that were going on and you needed that it was going to feed you to punish this child, but it's a child. So I'm realizing in my work what I need to do. Now I'm advocating for students, but I need to advocate for teachers to get their healing, or people that work with our children to get their healing so that they can have their cup filled while we're working with our children.
They're using this book right now. They're using this book bad. And I'm glad, because
Absolutely.
that's what they're using the book for, not for the students. Now, I got workshops, I got workbooks, I got all that for the students, let's be clear. But the calls that I've been receiving since the awareness conference, because we are out here talking about it. Thank you so much for being a part of something so phenomenal and so wonderful. I think it was the fact that the students, former students, I mean, the same ones we still talk to. Like, we are mentors for real, and people do not understand that we were given this role. And I think it's because of that professional development of us understanding the students. Because we
Mhm.
knew it, but not
We
every
need
teacher did.
we needed the label. We knew it.
Like, you got to say that again because you went in and out.
I know, so I said we needed the label because we had it and then we got the label. So the frame together, that's what kind of that turned on the light bulb that helped us run with it and help you definitely run with it to just make sure everybody knew it had a face, it had a name.
I had to. You know why? It was, and I talk about that in my book. It was that professional development.
Mhm.
And then, and I have to shout out my boy, Dr. Michael Thomas, that was like, look, run with this. Sign up, get your doctorate degree. You can run with
Mhm.
this. Because people didn't even understand that we were staying after school to help kids get into college, like helping write and get the curriculum ready to get them together to write their own scholarships. Like, people did not really know exactly what we were doing.
Mhm.
But I think having the acronym of understanding it, and shout out to Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, that's when I ran with it. It was 2014. I remember like when, where, why, and how. And I will not stop. I refuse. But it's people like you that keep me going because you're in it deep too.
Mhm.
So tell us, of course, you know about ACEs. What about the staff at the school? Do they know about ACEs?
My building leadership does. So he understands like my mission. But I also, because I've been in this before, I know that I'm going to be a change agent. I'm treading lightly of what that's going to look like, So it's been a little bit of just having conversations. So when they're kicking kids out, and I see it's something that's keeps it's consistent. Okay, let's talk about it. What's going on with Johnny? And well, he does this. Okay. What's your experience with Johnny, or when you were in school? Because that's kind of where I want to lead to. When you were in school, what did you see of Johnny? Did you see him get kicked out like this? Is that something that stuck out with you? Oh no, I didn't have that. Well, my brother kind of reminds me, oh, okay, your brother. Talk to me about that. Just making sure it's still organic. But we try to get to the root, and I'm trying to do that, one by one, so that they can know that I'm relatable, that they can talk to me. So that one teacher I can talk, I came to her door, but then her neighbor came to my office. It's like,
Mm.
I just have some questions about what you're talking with so and so about. And so that's kind of how I'm working through it. And then eventually I told him, it's like, I would love to do a professional development so that they can know their aces, and then
Mhm.
with their children. But that's further down the line.
And so I'm not worried about you. And For those who don't know, if you go on my website, she's on the first page. Let's be clear. She is in that chair with the people that took that book and is doing the work. She's been doing the work. This is one of the people that was with me. So let's be clear. This is nothing new to her. She understands. And you are an amazing cycle breaker. You know you are. What makes you continue this cycle breaking journey?
Can you see me? Because I noticed
Hmm.
that my connection was unstable for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Oh, okay. What makes you want to continue your cycle breaking journey?
Mm. I think I know some of it is that I know that's what I'm called to do. Because I'll be honest, there's some days I wish I was a secretary or something. Just didn't require a lot of brain power. I feel, especially as I get older, I get overstimulated a little more easier. So I just need to make sure I take some time to myself. And my family knows that, so they do give me that space. But I see the light bulbs. I see the impact. And then I make sure I find the joy, of just laughing at just different things. Like I had a student that was just near tears, but I recognized that he really felt bad about what he did. And I was like, oh, the poor baby. And that just made me smile because he's going to learn from this,
Mhm.
even though it's tears. But when he closed the door, I laughed because I know like this is something small, but it's
Mhm.
huge in his life right now. And it's going to be something that sticks with them. And I know this because we have our 28 to 30-year-old alumni students that we see that they learned those lessons back then and we see how successful they are now.
Shout out to Be Victorious Foundation because that was the thing that I could not take away when I left education. So stepped out through the grace of God, year 3, blessed. When I mean blessed, blessed. But I kept getting calls. Dr. Torie, can you help me with this? Are we gonna do this? I need this. I just talked to a young lady who is getting her master's degree, and she like, man, I have two people, honestly. One lady's getting her doctorate degree, and she was like, we're gonna have to sit out a semester, sis. I'm saying. I can't, aces and nothing right now. I gotta get some money. And I respect that, but that's the whole purpose of Be Victorious Foundation because it's people really out here doing this thing. So I had to have it. I had to have it because this is what we did. The stuff that when we was after school, now those was grants. That's was stuff that we really had to do because I saw school as a safe space.
Mhm.
Because they did it for me. The homecoming, yeah, heck yeah. Because I would cut it off in a minute and they knew it. They knew it. And I can get a hold of that data. Like if I can get a hold of it, I know that the rate was down there. How about at your school? Is that something that you have looked at in regards to? Because I know them kids love you. There's nothing you can tell me. I know for a fact. Have you seen a change in the data since you've been dean?
Right now, I've actually been focusing on, and it's crazy. I know I'm more on discipline this year, but I always look at their instructional data,
Mm,
and their scores, and especially in reading and math, are very low. We also have a very high population of students that speak another language at home.
mm,
And so uh, I always would tell teachers that high quality instruction goes along with classroom management and making sure all of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, making sure they feel safe. And then you just make sure it's high engaging, high impact. You want to make sure you're hitting all the things. And that would make you a successful teacher. So I think the teachers are still stuck. They're, it's multifaceted when we're in the classroom, right? But they're still stuck on making sure they have students act a certain way. But are we looking at how their home life is? And is that impacting, because they're speaking another language? How much of this language do you know that you can kind of infuse into the classroom? So that's the data I've been trying to I know that matters. And then I want to get into the culture. I've been talking with our district leaders about Panorama because they don't have anything that measures culture.
Mm,
Are we letting students have feedback?
mm,
They're like, well, we have the five essentials, which most educators know we all use, especially in Illinois. But I'm like, no, we need to do they know how to advocate for themselves? Do they know what providing agency for themselves look like? And they're like, oh, okay. Okay, well, that's further down the line, but I think that we need to have that. So I
mhm.
started mentioning what I know, the tools that I know that we could use to
Right.
measure data,
Mhm.
give the A score, as well as what we need to do to drive the culture.
Yeah,
So
valuable. I told y'all. See, this is the thing. And I think that's the reason why the conversation has been going so well, because people like us see the need in the the awareness community and empowerment. It's a method now. I didn't turn it into a method. Not to say it like that, like I didn't turn it into a method. We got to look at how valuable it's worked. We Since April, look at what has happened, what has is going on. I'm tired, not to say it like that. I'm blessed, but it's really a real need to have this conversation. So to see your push, of course, I already knew we knew this. This is what we've been talking about. This is what has actually kept us connected, professionally, seriously, and then personally, of course, because the kids loved you as just as much as I did. We have to have that type of legacy when we're in these positions. So, what is something you wish people understood more about childhood trauma or ACEs that isn't talked about enough?
I know. Yeah. So what was recently added to ACEs is uh, racial or racism or experiences. And I know a lot of ACE tests or quizzes, they don't have that. Um, we need to also, I feel like my parents tried to do their best in making sure that my brother and I had a great neighborhood, moved us away from Chicago, wanted to make sure we went to the best schools, but did not realize how much the microaggressions, the prejudice, the just all the experiences that they did not have
Right,
because of where they grew up. It was predominantly Black and Latinx,
right,
and we grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods. Even though I'm mild risk, that still has an impact on us. And
right.
we see a lot of our more privileged and affluent families that are moving into spaces that are predominantly white. We need to make sure that we're checking in with them.
Hmm.
What questions are we asking them when they come home from school and they say, it was fine? No, be more interrogative. Ask open-ended questions because that did affect me in ways that I didn't really realize until I became a school leader.
Right,
I was like, whoa, I don't know if I know how to interact with people, even though I grew up with them. How do I interact without feeling inferior sometimes?
right.
Because that was what was taught to me. And that's an ace.
It,
I know people that don't move back into spaces like this because of, or they choose to go to an HBCU, which is still great,
hmm
but they are purposely trying to run from it, not trying to heal from it.
hmm
I think that's something that needs to be, it's not talked about enough,
Respect.
but it needs to just be spoken on and what to do to heal from that trauma.
Exactly. I'm going to bring it up because I actually did lunch and learn today where we talked about that. I was raised in Chicago. I absolutely love Chicago, especially the culture. especially the culture. I understood ACEs thanks to Chicago, which is the reason why I did everything and started everything in Chicago because I knew that this would be an issue. But I gotta be supportive of the mayor. He doing his thing, and let's be clear: what the president is doing is bullying bad.
Mm,
The numbers for Chicago, I know for a fact. I know, you know, I'm a researcher. The numbers
mhm,
are down, been down. Leave us alone. The numbers in St. Louis are higher than they are in Chicago. But yet they're
mhm,
leaving Chicago, they're leaving St. Louis alone because they didn't do Chicago, not Chicago, St. Louis right during that flood that we just had a couple of months ago. Don't play with
mhm,
me when it comes to understanding and knowing what's going on. All of it needs to be brought to the attention of people to understand that we have to have this conversation about ACEs. We have to. Because what this man is doing, look at how much it's bothering families. The experience within itself.
mhm.
That's ACEs, y'all. So for the people that say, oh, well, what is it? We all have it. Everyone has an ACEs score. I loved how you reframed and said that even for the ones that didn't grow up in poverty and grew up in a different area. There's some ACEs, microaggressions. There's some things there, you guys. Yes, 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 yes. She ain't saying she bougie. What she saying is, I got an ACEs score too.
Yes.
And that's what people have to understand. The awareness is what we want to get out there so people can understand. So, with that, what are some of your healing strategies? Because you have to deal with this every day. Bless your entire house, not just at school, but at home with loved ones. What are some of
Yes.
your healing strategies?
Uh, I did seek therapy. Um, I would say I'm not constantly or consistently doing it now, and only because after I had that third child, it just seemed like another thing to do. No one told me after three it feels like 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I learned about myself, and I just to kind of have someone else just to talk and to be a thought partner around what you can know about yourself and build your emotional intelligence. Um, I realized that I need that space so I make sure like my family, my children, for lack of better words, are trained. Like when I go upstairs and just need a moment, yes, they want to be all over mommy and tell me what happened for the day. I'll get to it. And I still make some time. I carve it out. So I'm up at 4:55 every morning to carve out some time for myself when the house is quiet. I work out, then I take a little walk, meditate, and just really just think about my day. Sometimes on that walk, I have a podcast. Sometimes I have an audiobook. Sometimes it's a gospel song, just whatever it may take for me to just prepare for the day. um, I also recognize that I get anxious when I am operating on CP time.
Hmm.
So why don't I just alleviate some of that with just being on time? So I'm making sure that I'm at work at 7:40, and when I start my day at 8, have my coffee, check my email. I'm finding different ways to make sure that I relax. And then with my partner, sometimes if I'm upset, I try not to get emotional in the moment. I said try. Um, but I'll actually type out in a text message what I want to say so that it will be more clear, so that I won't feel like I'm bottling it up because I felt like I had to bottle some of that up growing up. But
Mm,
I want to make sure I'm clear, I'm not emotional. And I look at the text message and I'm like, yeah, you're operating out of your feelings.
mhm.
Let's rephrase it. And then I'll come and that's when we'll have our conversation. And I wouldn't say we don't argue, but it hasn't been a full out argument because of that. Because I think he also practices that too.
Look at that. I honestly like that. Like, hold on one second, because my earring came all the way off. I and let me share as I put the earring back on. I like how you just came up with a that's a great strategy because people don't think like that. We're so reactive. We're reactive instead of being proactive. That's actually a good plan to just sit and just type it out because that way you're not holding it in.
Mhm.
Very good. I think that's added value for someone that is going through their healing journey as someone that has an ACEs score that understands the whole purpose of community and empowerment, because these are the things that we have to do in order to help ourselves heal, you guys. Self-care is the best care. So I'm gonna have to take that one because that's actually good. Because I'm telling you, if we continue to be reactive, that's exactly what it's going to be, something different. And I think that's another reason why I call ACEs the appetizer to those type of things, because that
Mhm.
awareness is what you need in order to find out what next steps you need to take. So that's good that you actually have that. Now, you have been at this journey for yourself personally as well. So, with now being a part of the journey professionally and personally, how do you empower others to break their cycle?
I think it's naturally for me, I like speaking with children because they're more easier to mold and to have those like more vulnerable conversations, um, especially when they want to advocate for themselves for adults, because some adults are already power brokers, are already holding all the power. So
Hmm.
how can you communicate in a way that they feel that you are on their level?
Right.
That's something I started with my children, so that like even for example, my daughter, she made sure to say to her teacher, and this is in fourth grade, because her teacher called me and she's like, Miss Richardson, she told me I feel like I'm being bullied. I feel like I have been intimidated. It has not been warranted. Use the word warranted. And I've tried to speak up for myself, and she continues to do the same thing. That is why I think it's bullied and not just teasing. And she's
Mm,
like, I know that it was rehearsed, but I also know that she recognized the differences because of that. So
mm,
it was taken seriously because we throw,
right.
man, I'm in a middle school. They throw
Yeah,
bully, that word, all the time.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not bullying, it's tit for tat, it's teasing, it's your child is actually the aggressor, it's all those things. But I'm making sure that I'm equipping the students I'm interacting with the same way I equip my daughter.
Hmm.
This is what bullying looks like.
Hmm.
This is how you should give it. These are some examples. Now, how could you advocate for yourself with an adult so that they can feel empowered? I think that's where most of my aces came from as a child, is that I didn't feel empowered. So I'm working with children in that way.
Mm,
And then when I do have to deal with adults and they say, could you just come in or could you call the parent? I make sure to use the words, I don't want to take away your power,
mm,
so that this is your classroom, this is your domain, this is your home. If I call the parents for you, if I deal with your discipline all the time for you, they're going to be afraid of me. They're going to respect me, and they're going to think you don't have any power. So I don't want to take that from you. I want to help you. So I make sure to say the word power so they can know like, oh, it's helpful. It's not, and it's a productive struggle sometimes, but they know it's not just me trying to push it back on them. It's really for me to help in the long run so that they can understand this is for you. So I
right.
make sure to empower them in that way, in that profession, in my profession mostly.
That's why I love her, y'all, because I'm telling you, just to grow and watch us growing together. When I tell you she's a phenomenal English teacher. So this dean thing is really new and real. So when she introduced herself and told you guys what she was doing, ACEs definitely has a lot to do with it. She's been in this journey for a minute now to step out of something that I know she loves because she's good at teaching English, y'all. Y'all don't understand good. I'm honored to say, I'm happy for you because I know your numbers are down. I know that the staff, I know that because you know how to work with students with ACEs. In a middle school, you know the Lord is challenging you for real.
Oh, Jesus.
I know it. I know it. I know it. Because I'm telling you, she's good. We have the same students that we have mentored, so we share mentorship responsibilities with a lot of the same students, and they still reach out to her to this day. This is what cycle breaking looks like, you guys. I've always admired her husband is one of my favorite. When I tell you he will pour into these boys, he definitely, I know he understands ACEs because I've seen it. I've seen him work with these boys, coach them, mentor, do what he needs to do to help. I think the reward was that I also love his son. His son was one of my favorites. Just to be in a school where your father works at a school is a hard thing. But I also think that being a person that understood that, I think that's how we developed our bond. And to see that he is still smiling and athletic and doing his thing, it's a humbling thing. So I want to tell you, as someone that has been a cycle breaker, that is out here doing the work, continue doing what you're doing because your impact is definitely seen. What are your next steps?
Well, someone has been speaking into my life to become Dr. Richardson. So,
You're listening.
I have to listen to that call. I know that it's going to, I recognize that I wanted to do it, but also just financially, I wanted to make sure it felt right as well. And I was like, this just, God knew, God was guiding.
Mhm.
I'm in a district that will pay for my
Yeah,
tuition
absolutely.
starting next
And you
year.
got a dissertation coach that's going to get you all the way there. You already know. And see, people, so again, this is the reason why Dr. Victorious is who I am. I was not given this name. I was given this name based off of having the conversations with people, having these discussions, doing what I do, creating victory in people and watching it happen. It's a humbling thing to see. Trust and believe me. I saw her as an English teacher going all the way up to an English lead, right?
Mhm.
To go from that and leaving your passion to go into a dean by calling Dr. Ashley Richardson. I claim it because it's going to happen. It's already been laid out. The school is paying for it already. Yeah. And I took my sweet time. I stayed after school with Sheila. Shout out to Sheila Flowers, who was the housekeeper supervisor. She made sure that the lights was on. That's how I was able to. I think that's the reason why extracurricular activity was a big deal for me because I was really doing a study on it. So to see how wonderful the children 10 years later, 2015 just did their 10-year. I think it's crazy. Like,
This is crazy.
it's crazy. They just did it. And then, 2016, the thing with 2016, the class that's coming up now, they were the siblings of the previous kids from 2012. And so it's like, oh my God. So this is humbling to me because to see how well they're doing years later is the humbling thing for me. No lie. I think that's what it is. So you have to continue this journey with me. I know you are because we've been stuck with each other ever since. Where can people find you? Because yes, you are on their website. People do know who you are. They they know who you are because them kids still was Miss Richardson. Yeah, it was bragging and about all the wonderful things they're doing now because of the influence that you presented on them then. Where can they find you?
So I have two. social media handles that most people find me on, and one is uh, it's both of them on Instagram. One is a underscore rich wife, uh, pun intended, and I also am an author of the Confessions of a Non-Tenured Teacher. So I'm also giving some, just having in my stories and some tips and tricks, especially for those newer teachers or newer folk in education, that they do hit me up in my inbox and we just kind of go over some scenarios. But I have an Instagram called the non underscore tenure teacher coach.
Another person in the community. Yeah, yep. People laugh now because they have caught on to what the podcast actually is. It's a valuable resource that people have been using to network and connect. And what's interesting is a lot of the people that are on here are of value. Not to say that anyone isn't, but here's another author, you guys. We have a book club, which means she's going to be talking about this book. We got to get her book up and going because her book can help someone. She just said that. That's the reason why I switched it from Be Victorious with Dr. Torie to Be Victorious Educational Services. So I can support my colleague and say, hey, this is my colleague. This is what she's done. This book can help you for exactly what you just said. But not only do you do that, you do professional development, you do speaking engagements, you do panels. Like, let's be clear. We need to continue to do what we're doing because it's working. And because I said so, because you believe me.
Absolutely.
That has been, you guys. This is one of my colleagues. Like this is it, and we have grown. The seed was planted. Our seeds are growing. So for those who don't know, yes, there is a life for those after ACEs. There is a life for those who have an ACEs score. You just got to know what to do with it and how you can use it for the awareness community and empowerment that can help you heal as well.
Absolutely.
That's why she loves me. Okay. Big sister, I will always be. And I'm telling you, I thank you so much for being here. For anybody else that knows, continue to share this information with others because when I tell you her expertise in leadership and education is what it is. This is a real person. This is a person that has been on the front lines, that is in the front lines every day with the students we are advocating for. And to see that you've taken a step, I'm ready. Because
I'm
there's
gonna stop.
somebody else that is going back to have that conversation. We got students that she has poured into that is going to really enjoy and be excited that you are going back to school. So for those who don't know, this is Be Victorious podcast. It is an educational tool that has been used worldwide. And you have reached another episode of this wonderful podcast. Feel free to share because you get to meet wonderful people like Mrs. Richardson. We thank you guys so much for another episode. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye, guys.